Introducing Wondersuite from Bluehost.com, the tool that makes WordPress wonderful for everyone. Website creation is hard. Was hard, but not anymore, thanks to Wondersuite from Bluehost. Answer a few questions about your business and goals, and the Wondersuite tools will automatically lay out your WordPress website or store in minutes. Seriously. From there, you can customize your design, pick your brand colors, and add blocks. No custom theme or coding required. You'll get content suggestions that you can keep or revise. And with Yoast SEO built in, we automatically help you get found in search engines. From step-by-step guidance to suggested plugins to an AI-powered help bot, our built-in tools make.
Attention car shoppers. Right now at South Carolina Federal Credit Union, you can get a new or used auto loan and pay nothing until 2024, and no payments for 90 days means nothing out of pocket going into the new year. Plus, we have flexible rates and terms, so you could make the best financial choice for you. Learn more at scfederal.org/auto loans. That's scfederal.org/auto loans. Certain restrictions apply. Existing South Carolina Federal credit loans are excluded.
Educate, empower, enable, impact. Thank you for tuning in to That Will Never Work podcast, where we share inspiring information and personal experiences related to business and the entrepreneurial journey from those who are leaders in their respective field. Now, here is your host, author and business coach, Maurice.
Thank you very much for tuning in today. Thank you very much. I have a powerhouse guest today. He is the best-selling author of The Role of Love. And, you know, sometimes we don't take in consideration how important love may be in the workplace or us just moving forward in life. And so what qualifies him to speak about love, his childhood experiences of the opposite of love. So a lot of us have to deal with certain situations to get over the hump. And I think this gentleman right here, he explains it in a lot of different ways, a lot of different facets. And if you will go to his website, roleoflove.com, and as you're listening to this show, you'll get an idea of what we're talking about today. And he will explain, a little bit more later on about where you can follow him, things like that. The interesting part for me is that it made me touch where my pain points are in life and how I need to get over my own situations and issues. And I believe this gentleman can help us out with that today. I'll bring to you none other than Paul Zolman. Paul, thank you very much for coming on today.
Thank you, Maurice. What a pleasure to be with you.
Sure. So as I said to you off screen, we're going to kind of go forward and go back, right? So what are mental health professionals saying about your project?
Maurice, it's a very interesting question. Thank you very much. Actually, it was a mental health specialist that had inspired this whole project in the first place.
Okay.
As far as the book goes, about a year and a half ago in early 2022, I was able to talk with a mental health specialist. I had perfected the die or a cube that I created, a cube that has the love languages on it, put my own little icons on it. They're just pictures of each one of depicting each one of the love languages. Makes it very clear, such as for time, I've got someone holding an hourglass, and for service, I've got someone holding a platter. For gifts, I've got someone holding a gift. For the words, I've got two hands together, creating a heart, and then a little conversation fly out. So the words from the heart. And then for the touch, I just have two hands touching. 5 sides or 5 love languages, 6 sides on the cube. The last one is a question mark that's the hand is holding a question mark. That surprised me. Just 2 instructions, Maurice. You roll the die every day. That's the love language you practice every day. And so what mental health specialists are saying about this is that practice of loving intentionally every single day is a practice that they can't help their patients do that. This puts the responsibility back on that patient to actually do their own healing, which is all we can do. If we decide that we want to be healed, the mental health specialist can guide us, but ultimately it's us. This works really well, and the mental health specialists are saying that this works really well in between appointments too.
Mm.
This is an activity every single day, so that the progress that patient is getting
Hmm.
is going to be projected from appointment to appointment, so that then the coaching really happens,
Hmm.
that mental health specialist really can guide that person to better health in that way.
So like I said, I want to kind of go backwards, right? So how would someone even um, acknowledge that they have a trauma that's holding them back? Because sometimes we don't recognize, sometimes we're not even honest with ourselves in that, so whether or not we're being gaslighted or things like that. So how would someone even recommend or even see that they've experienced that type of trauma and they need to get to a point of loving themselves?
That's a great question, Maurice. And I discovered it for myself in this way, that I realized what the spectrum was. I realized
Mm.
that I had an angry family growing up,
Okay.
and from that angry family, I learned angry humor. I learned the put
Mm.
downs. I learned the sarcasm. I learned angry vocabulary.
Okay.
All those, it all has its own language, and I realized that I don't like this angry language, and
Mm.
neither do other people.
Right,
They
right.
they don't want the put downs. They don't want to be the butt of every joke. They just did
Hmm.
not want that. And I didn't want to give that to them. So I thought, well, I've got to figure out what a different language could be. And
Mm.
so I thought the love languages, or the language of love, not necessarily the love language, but the language of love, was something that I really needed to learn. It's
Hmm.
a full different culture. And so that gave me the spectrum. So if somebody's having a hard time understanding where they might be on that spectrum, I would
Hmm.
say if there's a word, one word, or maybe two words that describe your behavior in any situation, what is that word? And then after you discover what that word is, what's the opposite? That helps you understand where you are at on the spectrum.
Mm.
Just say, for example, sarcasm
Hmm.
is it's on the nasty side, or it's on the naughty side of the stick, so to speak. With anger, that sarcasm would be on the naughty side, not the nice side of a stick.
Hmm.
That 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 what would be the opposite of sarcasm? So you might think genuine,
Hmm.
or authentic, or somebody that's true. So when you do those opposites, those antonyms,
Hmm.
and figure out, that helps you realize where you're at on the spectrum.
Hmm.
Then you can decide, well, do I want to stay the same? And stay the same looks like this. It's more of a victim mentality. You're blaming
Mm.
everybody else for your problems. And when you blame someone, you don't have to do anything.
Hmm.
It's their problem.
Right,
You
right.
blame them, and it's their problem. That is kind of a stagnant place on the spectrum.
Hmm.
You don't have to do anything. The second thing is, you could become more angry, or more induced into that angry culture. But I don't know anybody that wants to do that. Or you can become more loving. And those, when you realize where you're at and have that self-actualization moment,
Hmm.
describe the behavior that you have right now and find out what the opposite. When you are able to do that,
Hmm.
then you can make goals for progress.
So I did do my research, and I listened to one of your previous interviews where you said that one of your pain points was your father, right?
Mhm.
And you said that he had passed, and it took you up to the age of 35 to really understand what that pain point really was, and for you to get over that hump. So, what was it that you had to get over, understanding what your father and your relationship with him, right? Why do you think it took you so long to get to that point? Because sometimes we don't understand.
Yeah, and the problem was me, and Maurice, I'm a Christian, and
Hmm.
I like how these principles, the love language principles, relate to the life of Jesus Christ. But
Hmm.
if you think about the life of Jesus Christ at the Last Supper, he said to all the disciples, "One of you is going to betray me," and every single one of
Hmm.
those disciples said, "Lord, is it I? Lord, is it I?" So basically, at age 35, that was my moment. Lord, is
Mm.
it I? And when you ask that question, you better be prepared for that yes answer, and be humble enough to
Right.
say, yeah, I guess it is me. Take that responsibility, and then move forward.
Hmm.
So before that time, I played the victim and was blaming my father or other circumstances for all the problems, all the awkwardness in social studies, and all the awkwardness at the family. And what the problem was, Maurice, is that I realized that whatever my parents passed down to me was what I was doing, passing down to my children as well. I
Right.
would, I was stacking annoyances. I would get annoyed. I would get annoyed. I would get annoyed. I would get annoyed. And I thought I was very patiently being annoyed because it'd take me maybe 6 or 7 annoyances or before I blow. Some people get annoyed once and they're just out there.
Right. Right.
But I was so patient with this anger. I was, if there is such a thing to be patiently angry, I was that guy. I know it's a hilarious thing to think that I could be patiently angry.
Right. Right.
But they would take these annoyances, I would stack them up and almost be stair steps to that higher degree of anger. Instead of just being mildly annoyed, I'd be just a higher degree of anger, and then I'd have that flashpoint, and then I'd calm back down and start it over again. When I realized I'm starting that process, then I realized what was starting that process. Then the thought process came, Maurice, that, well, I don't even have control over that person that's doing this thing that's annoying me.
Right. Right.
I don't make their choices for them. So why am I annoyed? And who's their judge anyway? It's Jesus is their judge. I'm not their judge.
Right.
I realize I got to stay in my lane. And my choice at that point in time was well, it was a negative approach, but it was stems from where I came from. I said something like, I don't want to be angry. It's like a double negative. But double negatives only work in math, that you can multiply 2 negative numbers together to get a positive. It doesn't work in relationships.
Right. So even when we're talking about personal relationships, but even for your work relationships or even your church relationships, how have these being able to get to a point where you love yourself, how have you seen it improve with those relationships over a period of time?
Maurice, that's a great question, and I think there's a misconception about loving yourself. It seems like that when you love yourself, you're indulging yourself, but I don't agree with that assessment. I think that loving yourself, it comes from sending love out, and it's. I love the lyrics from the Oscar or well, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
I lost the music, but it was from The Sound of Music.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Hammerstein and what was the guy's name? I
can't remember.
So in The Sound of Music, Rolf is singing to the Von Trapp one of the girls, and he's on the ground and she's up on the second story. And in that song that he sings, one of the lyrics says that love in the heart wasn't put there to stay. Love isn't love till it's given away. So when you're talking about love and in trying to increase your own love for others, it actually increases for yourself as well. I've found in my life that if I'm down and out, all I have to do is walk down the street, find someone at maybe a little lower than I am, and raise them up. When I raise them up, it's almost like a payday, that you feel like you've made their day for them, and you get paid. You get that good feeling inside, and that good feeling inside to me is self-love. But it happens only by giving it away. That's the only way to get it. And it's like losing yourself in the service of others. It really does work. What I found about rolling the die is I'm watching for people to light up. When they light up, not only there's a couple of things that happen. Not only have I discovered maybe what their primary or their secondary love language is,
Right.
so that I can make a mental note about that, and then wash, rinse, repeat. But I've also found out that what lights them up for that day, what they're going to do, they're going to take that and they're going to spread that love to their circle of influence. But I'm taking from that experience that I'm helped make somebody's day, and that's a payday for me. That's absolutely a payday. You're sending love out in this way that there's you're sending it out without any expectation of anything coming back, but we know the laws of the universe.
Okay.
We know the law of the harvest. You plant seeds, it's going to grow.
Right.
We know karma also is another law of the universe. Another law is the law of attraction.
Mm-hmm.
All these laws apply, even though we're sending it out without expectation. We know it's coming back. Sometimes when we light people up, we'll feel that come back a little bit right then,
Mm-hmm.
but it also will come back later on.
Right.
On contrast, Maurice, if you send the anger out, boom, it's coming right back.
Yeah.
And it'll come back 10 times worse.
Right. So how would you help someone who's influenced by what society, because right now society is all about me for the most part. And you're spreading the message of, hey, you want to give it out. You want to continue to help people. But if you're constantly being hurt or feel like you've been hurt, how would you suggest to someone to maybe get over something like that? Because society is in this me state, if you will. And how do you give out to a society that actually perpetuates hate, or negative feelings or whatever else? So how do you get over that hump? If you're trying to give out love, but you feel like you keep getting hate, how do you get over something like that?
That's a great question, Maurice, and I understand a lot of that pain that people have had in prejudice, in anything like that, and that's really a hard thing to overcome.
Right.
But what I found is that looking, and again, that's coming from other people.
Right.
You really don't have any control of what they say,
Mm-hmm.
or what they do, or the mean things that they might send out. We don't have any control over that. All we have control over is what we send out,
Mm-hmm.
and what we do, and how we respond when love comes back our way. Those are the only things we respond to. So we can choose to be offended
Mm-hmm.
by what another person might do,
Mm-hmm.
but we can choose also not to be offended. And I think that or choose to be sad for them, that they just don't have that understanding of what love is. And most people don't. I mean, most people think that it's a reciprocity thing,
Mm-hmm.
that I give you this and I expect something back. It's
Right.
that let's make a deal thing. It's not a TV show. It's not a reality thing. Love is real, but it has to be sent out in that way that there is no expectation for it coming back. It's not about reciprocity. That's a transaction. This is not business. This is love.
So, I appreciate all the information that you have given today. I believe that this is something that a message that we really need to hear overall, because a lot of times we lose ourselves in the me state and not worried about being servants, if you will. Something, you kind of are alluding to. We're supposed to give, not always get back, if you will. So I appreciate your message today. And one thing I do want to ask, because people are looking for, how does this idea work in the workplace, if you will? Again, everybody is, even in the workplace is dog eat dog type, mentality. So how do you implement something like this in the workplace?
I think, Maurice, that's a great question. And some of the best bosses that I've had
Mm-hmm.
have been the kind ones and the most memorable. And maybe you think back in even in your school system,
Mm-hmm.
some of the best teachers that you remember are the ones that were very kind to you. That's the same in the workplace. It's just a humanity, bringing back humanity instead of in a workplace. You're absolutely right that it's the me. How am I going to get to that next level? How am I going to get to
Right.
that next promotion? How am I going to do that? Do your very best, and that's all you can do.
Right.
Just do your very best, but you should be doing your very best in that workplace anyway.
Anyway, right. Right.
I mean, that's what they hired you for. Absolutely. What are you thinking?
Right.
It's going to be a natural result. It's not a political arena
Mm-hmm.
that you just garnered votes or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's doing your best, and from doing your best, it's an automatic promotion
Mm-hmm.
to the level that they'll do it. And hopefully the leaders of the business will also see that effort that you're making, that
Mm-hmm.
it really is your very best. I had a mentor, and I was a protege of this mentor, and this mentor was just so very kind. I had a massive bank reconciliation that I needed to do. It
Okay.
was a bank account that there was more than 25,000 checks per month
Hmm.
written in this bank account. It was about $25 million per month that was run through this bank account, and they were 5 months behind.
Mm.
Well, at the time, Excel spreadsheet would not even hold 125. It still only held 65,000 lines,
Right.
but the processing of all that data,
Mm-hmm.
I'll get about 40,000 lines of data. So I had to cut it back a little bit and only had to piece this all together and do it in chunks. But this mentor that I had was a vice president. I went into him from time to time. I'd get stuck for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I'd go in for just like unfreeze my brain for a minute. I need 1 minute. In less than 1 minute, he took a look at it, understood what I was saying, and then I had the inspiration.
Mm.
And it's the kind of leaders that we need in the business situation. Just very kind leaders.
Mm-hmm.
As far as physical touch goes, you can do the high five, you can do the fist bumps, pat on the back above the waist,
Right. Right.
obviously.
Right.
Nothing lower than the waist. Keep it clean,
Right.
keep it above board here. I mean, there are things that you can do and just express very genuine kindness in the
Mm-hmm.
workplace. Just think of it though, in the workplace, if it's a loving environment, the
Mm-hmm.
production is it's going to
Should
be
go up.
all total production.
Mm-hmm.
If there's any hostilities there, you're stopping the production, you're stopping the productivity, or you're hampering the productivity of that company
Mm-hmm.
by being hostile. And then why would you choose to do that?
Right.
If you don't like working there, find another place to work that you would be happy at.
Mm-hmm. Paul, thank you very much, man. I appreciate you today. I appreciate all the information you have given. So before I let you go, can you let the audience know where they can find you, purchase your books, things like that?
Absolutely. So it's a website. It's called Roll of Love, ROLE of love.com. And if you go there, I've got a bundle. It's on sale right now. You can get the cube, the book, and a journal if you'd like to keep track of how you love.
Mm-hmm.
Becomes a love legacy journal.
Nice.
Something I would have loved to have from my mother. Instead, I got
Yeah.
a journal about the weather. The weather 60 years ago, Maurice. Who cares about the weather? I could read the
That's
almanac.
funny. That's funny.
I'm grateful for the journal, but if you like journals, I've got that for you. Make it a love journal
Mm-hmm.
and make it something that your kids will want to have. It's
Cool.
all for $29.99, and it's a whole lot less than just one therapy session.
Yeah.
And it's going to last for a long time.
Cool.
That's where they can find me.
All right, cool. Well, thank you very much, Paul. Thank you very much for sharing your information today. And I hope all of our listeners have been able to take something from this today. But I always ask my guests one question before they go. It's my would you rather question. Would you rather pick 3 doors or a fork in the road?
I think that I would pick the fork in the road, Maurice. And the reason I'd pick the fork in the road is if you're from Britain, you would go to the left. If you're from America, you would go to the right. Just kind of a driving skill that you go to the right, and then in hopes that it'll curve around, it'll be a circle, come back around. And I think that life is a lot like that. That we come to forks in the road all the time. Whichever road we take, it actually will circle around and come back to us. So it applies to love. We send it out, it'll come back to us. We send out anger out, it'll come back to us. So just watch what boomerang you're choosing.
I appreciate that. That's a very unique response. I've had a lot of people that say they want the fork in the road, but they want to see what's down the road. But you're talking about the reciprocity, just coming back around to you. And I like that analogy. I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot.
You're welcome. Thank you, Maurice. It's been a pleasure to be with you today.
Sure. Thank you. So, again, make sure you go to rollerlove.com. Of course, it will be in the description. Thank you very much for listening today, and continue to listen to Maurice on That Will Never Work podcast.
Thanks for listening. Find us on social media at Chisholm Group LLC and check back weekly for new episodes. Until next time, that will never work, or will it?
Hey y'all, Darius Rucker here. You know, a lot of people ask me, what inspires your music? And one of the big things is a strong sense of place. That's why I love my home state of South Carolina and want to share the awesome things it has to offer. From the beautiful mountains down to the sunny coast, it's got it all. Not to mention two of my personal favorites, great golf and amazing food. Come see why I love this place. Visit discoversouthcarolina.com.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.